Welcome. My name is George Pearson, and this is video-based training for HTML. Now, in this series, we're going to be talking specifically about HTML coding. I'm not going to be spending a lot of time on web design. That really is what you would do after you understand the coding. We will be touching a little bit on web design as we move through, and I'll be talking a little bit about things you can do to improve your web design. But that isn't the focus of this series. Again, we're going to be focusing specifically on coding for HTML. I assume that most everyone using this training is going to be using a design program like Dreamweaver or FrontPage or Go Live. And this training in HTML will be a valuable addition to your abilities in those other programs. All of those programs can do a lot with designing a web page, but there are times when you'll have to come back and do some actual hand coding, and that's where this knowledge of HTML will come in valuable. Most of our demonstrations are going to be done in Dreamweaver, but using the coding side of Dreamweaver, as you see right here. Now, you can use several different programs to code HTML. All you really need is a good editor that can handle plain text. You don't have to have anything fancier than that. There are a few features in Dreamweaver that make it very easy, and you'll see those as we move forward. Plus, this has the nice feature of having both the code view and the design view, so that I can switch over here to design view and show you what the page looks like that we're creating in the code side. So because of this is a nice program to use for these demonstrations. But again, we're going to be focusing on just the HTML side here and doing everything by hand coding. I won't be doing any shortcuts that aren't obvious here in HTML. Now, when we talk about HTML, we're talking about hypertext markup language. Let me just explain what that means. Hypertext means links. You're actually linking to something. You're taking a piece of text and making a link out of that text to something else. A standard URL for a link you can see right up here, http://www.w3.org. This, by the way, is the organization that controls the format for HTML, and it's worth taking a look there. If you really want to get into HTML in a heavy way, go ahead and take a look at w3.org. But this is a standard URL, and this allows a link or a website to link from one place to another using a standard URL form. And we'll be doing a lot with links. And that's the basis behind HTML, or the reason for HTML, is that ability to link from one location to another, working through a text-based link. So the hypertext, the HT part of that, is dealing with those links. The ML part stands for markup language, so it's hypertext markup language. And what a markup is working with text where you place markups around the text to control the formatting. You can see an example right down here. I have this text. This is some bold text in a table. Right around this text is formatting. Here's a beginning bold tag and an ending bold tag. So our bold begins here, here's the text, and the bold ends here. So we've marked up this text using these markup fields. So if you take a look here at our design, you can see that our text is actually in bold text. So that is talking about how the language works. It's a markup language. This is the same kind of language that you'll find in most of your word processors. For instance, Microsoft Word is a markup language. It actually uses its own programming for a markup language. Now, HTML has been around for a long time. The version that we are currently on is HTML 4.01, and we're moving a little bit past that now into XML and HXML. You see right up here, this is actually set for XHTML. Now, XHTML is taking the HTML language and making it into a subset of XML, which allows you to actually take the programming and make it portable across several different platforms and also several different uses, and you can then transfer your language you're coding from one use to another. Very, very powerful, and well beyond our discussion here. We're going to be focusing just on the HTML part of this and not even get into the X part of the HTML. We'll just stay with just the X HTML and looking specifically at version 4 and some of the things you can do with version 4. Now, the way the CDs and this training are laid out, we're going to be starting in a very basic way and talking about HTML in a very generalized basic way. We'll then be coming back upon a lot of the same discussions and digging into greater and greater depth and detail. So we'll be going over some of the same areas several times, but each time we'll be showing something new, something more advanced, giving you more and more training and education on that. By the time you finish this training, you should have no problem at all creating your own web pages just in HTML coding. Now, I don't recommend actually creating pages with HTML. It's far too easy just to take a program like Dreamweaver and do it all over here. But there are times when you're going to want to come into HTML to either clean up your code, make it real tight, fix problems. Lots of reasons why you'll have to come into the code view and adjust your coding in the code view. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next discussion, and I'm going to show you this same page in several different programs that can be used for HTML coding, just to give you a feeling for different ways of looking at this, different programs that you can use. And then most of our discussions are going to be using Dreamweaver, although we may be using a little bit of text-based editing as well as we move forward.